Hi, in this video review I would like first of all to share my 1 month experience with that grinder. This is the new 1Zpresso QAir, new coffee hand grinder or manual grinder if you prefer. It comes with 4 color options, mine is blue. And secondly, I would like to run several tests to understand how it works with filter coffee machine, espresso, both unpressurized and pressurized filter baskets. And to make this test more unbiased, I would also use QAir sieves. That's a special equipment that helps to measure the size of coffee particles. So let's start with an explanation why this coffee grinder attracted my attention. That's because it's made by 1Zpresso. That's a company from Taiwan which became popular in last, say, 4 or 5 years, mainly because they produce good quality grinders for reasonable price. For example, last year they had this new model Q2S, where S stands for 7, so 7 star-shaped burrs set, or heptagonal if you prefer. It was a kind of copy of a Comandante C40 grinder, and that above mentioned Q2S cost like 3 times less. And this grinder Q2Air, as far as I understand now, is an effort to make even more cheap grinder, but still with that Comandante-like burrs set, 7 star shape, that should work good for both espresso and filter coffee and should have precise adjustment. Yes, it's 38 millimeters in diameter, stainless steel, so everything's right. So what was my story with that coffee grinder? Just after unboxing it, I decided to test finest possible grind levels. Yes, it has very classical internal adjustment. You have the disc, you have the rotary knob, you can rotate it, it has 30 clicks per round, 3 working rounds, so it gives us about 90 steps, which is very good. So I decided to test the finest possible grind adjustments and try to make an espresso on unpressurized filter, and it clocked. It clocked my very typical home espresso machine, the Longitudinal. Then just for a test I decided to fill it in half, and it still clocked. At that moment, I became somehow optimistic about this grinder, because I even decided that it probably could make it for a Turkish coffee, for Chesva. However, no. When I later checked this with the QAir sieves, I realized that even if it looks good, this finest possible grind, it barely falls below 400 microns, which is not enough for Turkish coffee, of course, and barely enough for unpressurized espresso. However, I saw a significant amount of very small particles, this coffee dust, and that probably was the reason why it's clogged the unpressurized basket. Then I decided to look on the other end of the range and tried grind settings for filter coffee, much more coarser. It was good, however, again, this parasitic, I could say, dust was present there, and on every other grind adjustments for mocha pot, for pour over, for pressurized espresso, it works well. It had really precise adjustment, however, everywhere is dust. It's not automatically bad. Somebody even prefer to have this dusty grind in their pour overs because it helps to slow down the flow, that helps to make cup more richer. But still, with such settings you can't do the predictable result. You can, for example, repeat the recipe that the roasting company is suggesting to you. So, my final thoughts about this grinder: I still believe it has a very good function per price ratio. For example, if you will compare it with another popular hand grinder, Timemore C2 or C3, this one, new 1Zpresso QAir, has much more steps of adjustment, has much finer adjustment, and it somehow still can go with the unpressurized espresso. Of course, if your goal is just to clog the basket and somehow control the volume per time ratio. Of course, if you would go for a taste, you should choose like $100, $150 hand grinders. They have it. However, as an entry-level grinder, universal grinder, it's still very good. But you should consider this dust moment, which is the main problem of this coffee grinder. Yes, it's still not available on global market yet, but I believe it will be in several months. So now you can buy it directly from AliExpress. I will put the link where from I bought it, but I think that soon it will be sold on Amazon, etc.